Hello, everyone, and welcome to Chapter 2 Club, the women's guide to divorce and everything after. Today, I'm here with San Diego Realtors Tammy Dean and Tammy Krug of the web series show Moving On. They have a real estate concierge service that helps women to achieve their home ownership dreams. And Tammy Dean also has the RCSD designation, which is a real estate collaboration specialist for divorced women. And today we're going to be discussing what divorced women need to know about buying a new house. So Tammy and Tammy, welcome.
Oh gosh, thank you so much. I know it's been a minute since we tried to get together, and with our schedules being so crazy, we appreciate it.
Yes, thank you very much. It's a pleasure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's jump
right. Where to start? That's the fun part.
It's always a tricky mousetrap, if you will, when it comes to divorce, because you're dealing with two different entities in this transaction. And whether you're the male or the female, they're both affected when it comes to post-divorce, because you're dealing with the sale of the home or who's going to stay in the home. Then you're dealing with replacement homes. Mm-hmm. And obviously there are a few tips that we abide by that helps that individual transition into home ownership.
Mm-hmm. And the first place where we start is your divorce finalized? Where are you at in that particular? Are you completely divorced? Are you going through it? What's happening? What assets are yours or not in regards to the home? So that's a good place to start. And then I would say once you figured all that out, depending on whether you're buying or selling, if you're buying, you would need to speak to a lender, obviously. If you're selling, we would need to pull title and, see what's on title and what's included. When obviously, if you receive that home through the divorce, we need to know if there's any liens or anything like that on the property.
And I always suggest to Melanie is, whomever receives the home during the finalization of the divorce, it's important to take a look at title, like Tammy mentioned, mm-hmm. because a lot of times one of the spouses, whether they're the spouse that's going to stay in possession or otherwise, they think that they're on the title together. And a lot of times, one of them isn't on title as they thought, or however they are on title has a lot to do with it too. Tenancy in common, right. joint, mm-hmm. right of survivorship. So there's a lot of different nuances that need to be paid attention to. But what I do suggest, especially when there is a divorce going on, is regardless of who gets the house, do a pre-listing as if they were selling it home inspection. Because with that home inspection, will give the person who's staying in possession an idea of the condition of the home before that divorce is finalized. Because if there are a lot of things that need to be fixed, that shouldn't be the burden of the person staying in possession. That is a joint effort. Yeah.
And knowing what's on title is huge, because if you haven't been taking care of the finances, either way, whatever, you may not know what's on there. Yeah. And if it's in the spouse's name and you didn't have to sign anything for them to take over, to do like a HELOC, a home equity line of credit or anything like that, you may not know about that.
Yeah.
So,
and any other liens that might be outstanding, you want to reconcile and remediate all of that before the home is sold.
Yes.
Okay, great. And lending, you wanted to mention something about that?
Yes, it's very important when you are ready to purchase a home that you speak with a lender. People have in their head, I can afford this, I can afford that. But a lender can tell you exactly what you can afford based on obviously your income, your assets, everything else. They will give you what Tammy likes to call it a blueprint of what you need to do in order to purchase a home, because you may not, especially right out of divorce, be able to purchase a home. So at least they can give you a blueprint and tell you what you need to do, what steps you need to take to be able to purchase a home. Yeah. So speaking with the lender is the first thing you need to do when you want to purchase a property. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. And back to, trying to keep the house. I think some women financially or emotionally, they want to keep the house, but then they realize financially they can't. And they come into problems with trying to figure out, how am I going to maintain this? It's super expensive.
Yes.
And
yes.
Scrambling for work, and then they got kids doing the whole childcare thing, and
right. Which is why the pre-listing, I call it a pre-listing home inspection, because if you have the mindset that you're going to potentially list it, I would encourage that anyway, especially going through divorce, because if there are financial burdens on the spouse that's staying in the home, particularly the female, they want to know what's going on at the house, because, and again, and title has a lot to do with that too. Do pull a title before anything happens, because if there are liens attached to that house, or IRS liens, or solar liens, or SDG&E liens, whatever liens might be attached to that house, that may be too much of a burden for her to take on if she stays in possession and the house goes to her. That should be discussed and mediated and agreed upon prior to the divorce being finalized, because that falls on the burden of both of them.
Got it. Yeah. And then for the real estate collaboration specialist, what is unique about that as opposed to just a regular realtor?
Yeah, so basically that designation is a designation that allows the realtor to have more insight into the transaction when it comes to divorce, going through divorce, post-divorce, who gets what, where assets are divided, how the house is divided for tax purposes, because the spouse that stays in possession, obviously, before anything happens, whether the divorce is being finalized or mediation is going, that needs to be negotiated before. So the nuances are very slight when it comes to lending, when it comes to the real estate transaction with the RCSD versus just the lay realtor, coming through saying, I can handle it, you're going through divorce, which 99.9% of the time, they don't know that there are nuances such as title, who's on title, right? Divvying that up. Who has the ability to do what they need to do while the divorce is going on? Both of them do. And once she or he gets the house post-divorce, then that takes on a whole nother set of policies and guidelines that need to be abided by because of taxes, right? I'll give you a good example. I had a client once who was going through a divorce, and he didn't want to issue his portion of Apple stock to her and said, I'm just going to give you the house. Seems like a fair trade, right? In her world. But in mediation, we soon discovered, because I was dealing directly with the family law attorney, well, hold on a second. Who's on title? Let's figure that out first. As it turns out, they're both on title. She didn't know she was on title, so she has rights, right? So basically, I said, if she gets the house, what's the value of that versus the stock, right? So we divvied that up with the attorney, and as it turns out, Apple was more valuable than the house. So I said, so hold on a second.
Yeah.
We want the Apple stock and we want the opportunity to have the house, and here's why.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So we're not attorneys per se, but with the designation, it gives us a little bit the ability to dive more into the nuances that are different versus just an agent coming in and going, okay, you're getting a divorce. Okay, what? And then things present themselves like the nuances that they wouldn't know otherwise. So we deal directly as a designation. I deal directly with the family law attorneys, deeply entrenched with it during the mediation process, pre, post, and anything else that goes on. Because if you think about it, when they're in family law court, the judge can say, okay, you're selling the house. Okay, here's a couple of agents you can use, and they'll give the names, or they'll say, go see so-and-so. So that agent now facilitates the sale of the home and the repurchase of two separate homes if they don't stay in that primary home.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. This is wonderful information. Thank you so much. And I hope everyone out there finds this very useful. You can find more information on our website at chapter2club.com. And I will put links to Tammy and Tammy's website as well, and their information. So if you have any more questions, you can reach out to them as well. Thank you so much, Tammy and Tammy. It's great to see you, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.